folks, Darren here. Welcome back to Only Sounds and another 10-minute tier ranking. Last night, you guys voted on what you'd like to see as the next live interactive tier this coming Thursday at 10 p.m. and you chose movie remakes. So what I'm going to do here is I've chosen 10 myself, and I'm going to rank those 10, and then you're going to choose the next 10 to be thrown into the interactive tier ranking this Thursday, 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. EST. So movie remakes are kind of an odd thing for me. They live in this weird space where they're either bold upgrades of movies or painfully expensive reminders that the original was already doing just fine. And so what I'm trying to do in this tier is separate those rare improvements from the ones that really should just stay buried, I think. So let's move it over to this screen over here. You will see that I have I've named each tier section here. So I've named the top tier upgrade, the second tier side grade, which means the movie is as good as the original. Downgrade means it's not as good as the original. And bin it means it's just kind of worthless to me. I didn't agree that it should be remade at all. So I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to rank these movies. The movies that we have are The Amityville Horror from 2005, The Blob from 1988, Dawn of the Dead from 2004, Friday the 13th from 2009, The Fly from 1986, Halloween from 2007, The Hills Have Eyes from 2006, Last House on the Left from 2009, A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from 2003. So we are going to start with the Amityville Horror, and I'm going to kick the timer off now and attempt to do this in 10 minutes. Okay, so the Amityville Horror, released on the 15th of April 2005. I wasn't a huge fan of this when it first came out. I mean, when you look at it now, it's a fairly decent cast. Ryan Reynolds, Melissa George, directed by Andrew Douglas. Ryan Reynolds always kind of cites it as being one of the most physically demanding roles of his career due to the constant intensity of the movie and the stunts in the film. I felt that the movie lent a lot more into the possession angle than the original movie did. And also, you know, there's always been a long-standing dispute about whether or not the Lutz's story was genuine or not. And so it kind of gives this movie even less credibility than the original. So for me, I'm going to rank it. I'm going to give it a downgrade. I don't think it's terrible. I thought it was okay. I have watched it a couple of times since, but I'm going to give it a downgrade on the original. Next up, we have The Blob from 1988. What can I say about this film? I think it is one of the better remakes that we've had in horror history. Chuck Russell directing, a whacking great 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, given that this is a horror film and a kind of a schlock horror film, if you like, but the practical effects in this movie really do hold up, and it's something that are quite often talked about in horror circles even today. Kevin Dillon, Shawnee Smith, Donovan Leitch, released on the 5th of August 1988, a worldwide box office of just 8.2 million. Although the movie flopped theatrically, it's become a bit of a cult classic through home video and things like that. So for me, I think it's definitely an upgrade on the original film. So I'm going to put it there in the top tier. How am I doing for time? 8 minutes left. Dawn of the Dead, 2004. Now, I'm a massive fan of the original Dawn of the Dead. I put it up there as one of my favorite horror movies of all time. When this was announced, I was very skeptical about it. It came out on the 19th of March 2004, directed by Zack Snyder, Sarah Polley, Ving Rhames, Jake Weber, Mekhi Phifer. Did a global box office of 102 million and holds a really good 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. Zack Snyder's first movie, and probably the first time that we'd seen fast, aggressive zombies in a mainstream zombie movie, I guess. It was praised by Romero as well. He really liked the movie, despite, you know, the movie having a lot of tonal changes versus the original Dawn of the Dead. So although I don't like it as well as the Dawn of the Dead, the original movie, I am happy having it as a remake, but I do think it's not as good as the original. So I'm going to put it at the side of Amityville Horror. Next up, we have Marcus Nispel's Friday the 13th from 2009. A movie when its first release, I wasn't that fussed about. I didn't really jive with it when I first saw it. After subsequent views, I really do enjoy the film. I like the first 20 minutes. I'm not too hot on the characters in the movie. I prefer the characters from the original Friday the 13th, but it is the best looking Friday the 13th movie ever made. And I do think it's as good as the original Friday the 13th. So I'm going to put this right there as a side grade. I'm a big fan. Shoot me for it. I don't care, but there are a lot of people who feel the same as me as well. So let's move on to 1986 and The Fly. The Fly, again, quite possibly one of the greatest horror remakes of all time. David Cronenberg, Jeff Goldblum, a worldwide box office of $60.6 million when it was first released, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not only one of the greatest horror remakes of all time, but I also think one of the greatest horror movies of all time. You know, Cronenberg turned a sci-fi concept into this tragic love story about decay and illness. It won Academy Awards. Goldblum's performance is often cited as one of the greatest in horror cinema, and the transformation effects were done entirely with practical makeup and puppetry, and deservedly so. Chris Walas did an absolutely fantastic job on this film. So where do I put The Fly? It's definitely an upgrade on the original film for me. So it's going up there alongside The Blob. Okay, next up, we have Halloween from 2007, released August the 31st, 2007. Rob Zombie, Scout Taylor Compton starring with Malcolm McDowell and Tyler Mane. Worldwide box office of 80.4 million, which is pretty decent considering it was probably around about a 20 million budget or something along those lines. Rotten Tomatoes has this at a very low 28%. I guess you could say the film's more of a character study first and then a slasher second. Tyler Mane's Michael Myers is physically the largest in the franchise, but it's got a really aggressive and acerbic tone that I don't really like throughout this movie. I don't think it's the worst Halloween film. I think that probably goes to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 or Halloween Resurrection, but it would be somewhere in the bottom half of a ranking for me. So I'm not gonna say bin it, because I think there are certain parts of it that are quite decent, but I'm certainly gonna say that it's a downgrade on the original film. So Rob Zombie's Halloween goes in the downgrade section. Okay, The Hills Have Eyes from 2006, released March the 10th, 2006, directed by Alex Arger, handpicked by Wes Craven to direct this film, which is quite an accomplishment. He did such a great job on High Tension. Wes Craven went, right, I want that guy. The film's deliberately designed, I think, to be a lot meaner than the original, a lot nastier, and the attack in the midpoint of the movie is one of the most brutal sequences of the 2000s, I think. We got it uncut in the UK, I believe, but I think there were cuts in the US. So there is an unrated version out there, and it's tough. It really is tough, particularly Ted Levine's eyes turning white as he's burning alive outside. The Hills Have Eyes, for me, is definitely an upgrade and one of the best horror remakes again. So definitely an upgrade on the original. I'm putting it in the top tier there. Okay, where am I? Last House on the Left. 2009's Last House on the Left. Dennis Liardis, I think his name is. Liardis, I think. Tony Goldwyn, Monica Potter, Sarah Paxton. 46 million worldwide. Wes Craven was producer on this one. I think this movie's a lot more palatable than the original. I'm not a fan of the original. I'm going to put it up there as an upgrade on the original for sure. It's going right to the top alongside the others. However, I do think The Blob, The Fly, and Hills Have Eyes are better than Last House on the Left, but it is an upgrade on the original film, I think. And then we have A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010, released on the 30th of April, directed by Samuel Bayer, Jackie Earle Haley, Rooney Mara, Kyle Gallner. Jackie Earle Haley's Freddy's fine. He did something different. He looks different, but it's just the right Freddy, I guess, if you want to recast him in the wrong movie. And I do feel that this movie was somewhat of a downgrade, I think, on the original. I'd even consider putting it in the bin it section. However, Jackie Earle Haley stops it from going in that section for me because I thought he did an admirable job. So I'm going to put it alongside Halloween from 2007, Dawn of the Dead, and the Amityville Horror. And then finally, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003, directed by Marcus Nispel. Daniel Pearl, who did the cinematography in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, returned to do it in this film. What a coup to get him back to do this. John Larroquette back as well to do the narration. And Arlie Ermey, I think, his character across this film and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, are one of the best characters in the whole franchise, I think. A really, really worthy remake. I wouldn't say it was better than the original. A lot of people would disagree with me there, but I'd certainly say it's a decent side grade. So I'm going to put it in the second tier there. There's one movie that I'm going to adjust. I've got 20 seconds left, and I'm going to change my mind ever so slightly on Dawn of the Dead. I do think it's a really good movie. I don't think it's quite as good as the original Dawn of the Dead, but I think it's a good side grade. I'm going to put it there in the middle tier. So a last minute change there, and time's up. Okay, so what I've done here now is I've ranked them within each tier. So as you can see, my favorite in the upgrade section is The Fly, followed by The Hills Have Eyes, followed by The Blob, and Last House on the Left. In the second tier, side grade, Dawn of the Dead, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, followed by Friday the 13th. And then in the downgrade section, we have Halloween, the Amityville Horror, and probably my least favorite of all these titles, A Nightmare on Elm Street. So that's it, folks. That's how I would rank those movies. Tell me how you would rank them down below in the comments. And also, as I said before, watch out for those polls in the community section that are going to be going up in intervals over the next few days leading up to Thursday night, when we'll have a live interactive vote. And all of you guys can decide what you think is the best horror remake of recent years. Once again, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.